across Wisconsin on Civic Media. You're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06. It is Friday morning, December 19th, 2025. It's another beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota. Always a beautiful morning up here as you join us from wherever you're spending your mornings listening across the Civic Media Radio Network and all the many ways we have found to get you here at 6 o'clock in the morning. Thank you for starting your day right here. I got a question for you. Who was our very first guest on our first edition of what was then Up North News Radio on August 1st, 2022? I'll give you the answer in a few minutes here. I will tell you it's not who you think it is. Dr. Lyerly was actually on our third show, and we had a different guest, but somebody from up north. I'll give you that much of a guess, and you can tell me your thoughts a little bit later on, and I'll give you the answer as well. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Yeah, this is it. This is the last live show here. There'll be a couple of weeks of highlight shows, including a few new things that we've sprinkled in because we had so much stuff we couldn't pack it all in before we left. So be listening over the next couple of weeks. We'll still find ways to either entertain you with old stories or with a couple of new interviews and conversations. But again, just thank you so much for your listenership over these past 3+ years. It is a cold, windy, icy one out there. 2 below in Siren right now is the coldest spot in the state. Single digits, above zero mostly. Practically every place else, low teens in some parts of eastern and southeastern Wisconsin. But just windy, and that cold front was every bit as wicked as they advertised it to be, with wind gusts that were pushing 90 in parts of the Dakotas, wind gusts in the 50s in parts of central and southern Minnesota, and it was still pretty nasty by the time it got here as well. The roads are icy in many places, so please be careful along the way. Let's see. I believe that Parker Olson should be down in Madison. I mean, I can't get on the air if he's not producing this thing. Oh, yeah, there he is. That's right. How are you?
That's a loaded question, Pat.
Okay, well, then let's just jump right into Cindy in Appleton is on the line. Cindy, thank you for calling in so bright and early. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm a little disappointed to hear that you're leaving. I have not had you on my market for very long, so I'm just getting used to you, and I'm going to miss you. And I'm kind of wondering what's going on with Civic Radio right now. It seems like they're not having any hosts anymore. Are they getting ready to go dark or something?
No, I don't think it's that, but it is definitely much in the same way, Cindy, that Courier Newsroom, the parent company of Up North News, is kind of, shall we say, repositioning things for 2026, and they want me doing more things under the Up North News umbrella, more videos, more things online, more writing, more newsletter items, things like that. Civic Media is making their own plans for 2026 to the degree that it involves statewide shows versus local shows and news. Those are things I haven't been, as they say in Hamilton, in the room where it happens. So I think we'll just have to stay tuned and find out. The network's not going anyplace. I don't think their mission is going anyplace, but it has been a great year. I would love for the ride to continue, but the only constant is change, Cindy. So I guess we all carry on and see what the new year holds.
Well, have a good holiday and take care.
Well, Cindy, thank you so much. I always appreciate your early morning calls. It's not easy having people call in to 6 in the morning, and you're willing to, and bless you for it. And I hope we'll just keep an eye out for whatever we're doing over at Up North News, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk in another way sometime soon. Happy holidays. Take care, Cindy. Thank you again.
All right, thank you.
All right, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Looking over at the YouTube comment section here. Alicia, oh, bless you. I'll miss your shows in the morning. That's great. She says they have been a great way to start my work days. Let's see. Greg rather says, "Good morning, Pat. Waking up dark and early to listen to your last show. Love your shirt, by the way." Oh yeah, it's not quite a Hawaiian shirt, but it's definitely my favorite Friday shirt.
It's very nice.
And,
I'm a fan.
Thank you. Let's see. Greg also asked, "Where is Siren, Pat? Is that a town in Wisconsin?" Yes, in Northwest Wisconsin. Claire Bear, so grateful for this show to start the day. Thank you, Pat and Parker. Wishing you all the best. And by the way, a couple of our trolls are already out there in the comment sections tap dancing on the grave of this radio show. And I'll miss you guys too so much. No, really, I will.
No, you won't.
Actually, I will, because, again, they could only wish to have a radio show with the kind of, friends and listeners that we've made here. So, good luck to you with wherever you're taking your trolling in the new year. So we are at a Friday here. We do have a weekend just before Christmas, just before everything gets going. So, I mean, even if, the show itself weren't coming to an end, we'd still be talking about taking a holiday break. I mean, next week is weird because you got Christmas Eve and day right in the middle of the week. Some people have to work on Friday. Some people are working Monday, Tuesday. We were already looking for every opportunity not to work next week. we were looking at up to 2 weeks of pre-recorded shows anyway, way back when we were looking ahead on the calendar. So this was probably going to be the last live show for the year anyway. And then we get into all the travels, my family and Sherry's family, kids, grandkids, everything else. So, I mean, we are going to be busy for the next 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks from today is Friday, January 2nd. And again, not a work day for everybody, but for some people, it's that first big busy work day of the new year. So yeah, folks will be traveling, but Parker, I don't know if you will be or not. Are you guys a homebody? Is everybody stay in Wisconsin?
Our family is all in Wisconsin, actually. So we've got pretty much everyone right around us. So we'll be going to my aunt and uncle over in Sun Prairie for Christmas is all.
Okay.
Yeah, not going too far, no big travel plans or anything.
Okay.
I don't know. Hanging around.
Greg,
and yes, I am hanging around here, Greg.
Yeah, Greg says, is Parker going to stay with Civic Media? Yes, he is.
Yes.
And then Greg delivers the dagger saying, "By the way, when I say I love your shirt, remember, Pat, I am totally blind from birth." Thanks, Greg. Thanks. Appreciate that very, very much. All right.
It's a great review. It's a reliable review.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's take a look at the Up North News Daily Newsletter, because really that was at the heart of all this, was promoting Up North News and our products here. And some great holiday traditions have been shared with the readers. Then Ellie has put them in this morning's newsletter. Some more gorgeous pictures. There is a cute little dog out in the snow in today's newsletter. Dan from Wild Rose sending that in. Let's see. We had Sherita Booker on yesterday talking about some of the holiday markets going on this weekend, and there are some more listed in today's newsletter here. Also a story about a record number of people expecting to travel for the holidays, and more. So to get today's articles and beyond, head over to upnorthnewswi.com and click subscribe up in the top banner, and follow Ellie's weekday newsletter. And you can follow what I do on Sunday mornings as well. That newsletter will still be rolling on with more of a politics feel to it, more of a week in review. Jim on the text line from Appleton says, "Thank you for starting my weekdays with an occasional smile whenever the political scene wasn't being destructive." Yeah, same, Jim. We have to cover the news, and certainly the political news around here. And this has been a year. This has been a year of challenges. This has been a year of, some division and of some setbacks. But also, this has been a year that some folks have kind of rediscovered their purpose. They've rediscovered their love for America, for democracy. They've had to overcome the disappointment of learning how many people, their friends and neighbors, are comfortable with, essentially a megalomaniac in the White House. Somebody who yesterday apparently renamed the Kennedy Center. Renamed it the Trump Kennedy Center. I will pause for those of you who feel the need to, retch. But yeah, he's on the website. It says the Trump Kennedy Center. That is just one of many things we're going to discuss with our week in review panel, including the notion of somebody who, in a ranting, raving address, promised so-called warrior bonuses of $1,776, and people said, well, where's that money coming from? Well, it turns out it's actually coming from a fund that's supposed to pay for military housing. So, as other people have said, it's not robbing Peter to pay Paul, it's robbing Peter to pay Peter. So we'll be getting into that. We'll be getting into some of the funny math that Trump mentioned in his speech and how his cabinet members, I mean, this is so like the fairy tale of the emperor's new clothes. And the excuses they're making for his bad math are laughable as well. And it is just, like I said, sad to see what has become of so many of our friends and neighbors and fellow Americans. But in all of that, we have discovered the need to come together, whether it's in the mornings around a radio show or in protests that people have gone to on certain weekends throughout the course of the year. There are people right now who are running for office for the very first time, who never thought that they would be running for office, but have decided they needed to get involved. And by the way, it's not just the candidate. There are people right now, maybe best friends of candidates, who are now suddenly campaign managers or staffers or donors. Somebody's writing their first check to a political candidate this year because of what they've seen. And every little bit of that helps come together and try to put our country in a better place. And that work is still going to happen here at Civic Media, and it is still going to happen at Up North News. Alicia says on YouTube about Trump renaming it the Trump Kennedy Center. My eyes rolled so far back, I wasn't sure they would come back to the front after that renaming. Same here. Let's see. Now, as if the day wasn't melancholy enough, Parker, we have to turn to sports where... again, it went past my bedtime, but the Badger women's volleyball team had a great first set victory, 25-12.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, we're rolling on here against one seed Kentucky in the Final Four. But then Kentucky took the second set, 25-22. And at that time, I had to clock out. So here's what happened afterwards.
Oh, I stayed up the whole time.
I'll bet. In the third set, the Badgers came back and won that one, 25-21. And then in the fourth set, Kentucky won that one 26-24, because, again, you play to 25, but you have to win by 2. So Kentucky needed to go to 26 to win that set. Comes down to a fifth and final set where you only play to 15, and the Badgers didn't get 15. Kentucky got 15, the Badgers 13. They came as close as you can get, but just fell short.
The Badgers in the second set should have won the second set, but they had, I think, 6 serving errors that absolutely cost them and dug themselves into a hole that they just couldn't quite get out of. They had a hard time kind of getting out of some tough situations that they got themselves into. It seemed like every long point went Kentucky's way, which is obviously pretty tough. Yeah.
And one more note, the Milwaukee Bucks lost at home to Toronto, 111-105. So allow me to editorialize on my last show. Doc Rivers, he's got to go.
Yeah.
It's time. From the heart of America's Up North, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. It is a Friday morning, so hopefully we'll be catching up with Greg Bach here for one last edition of our daily history lesson. That'll be coming up in less than 15 minutes now. We'll start, however, with a trial in Milwaukee. They say the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice, but it doesn't mean there won't be some injustices along the way. Donald Trump's police state wins around by securing a felony conviction of a judge who stood up for independent courts, free from chaos, interference, and intimidation. The jury foreman told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel it was a difficult day after 6 hours of deliberation led to a guilty verdict against Judge Hannah Dugan on a charge of obstruction. The foreman said they followed the judge's instructions, quote, faithfully in coming to a decision. Now, interestingly, they acquitted Judge Dugan of a misdemeanor charge of concealing a person in order to evade arrest, which is really at the heart of the charges here, that she provided some kind of illicit assistance to an undocumented immigrant who was before her in another case, knowing that there was a group of agents out in the hallway outside the courthouse door that were ready to arrest him. It seems that Dugan trying to assert some judicial independence counts as obstruction under the current regime. Steve Biskupik, Dugan's attorney, told reporters it's unclear how the jury could have reached a split verdict since the elements of both charges were virtually the same. U.S. Attorney Brad Schimmel, yes, if you missed it, Brad Schimmel is now the U.S. Attorney in that part of the state. U.S. Attorney Brad Schimmel denied the case was political and urged people to accept the verdict peacefully. He said, quote, "The defendant is certainly not evil, nor is she a martyr for some greater cause." I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Brad. Donald Trump wanted to make her a symbol of how he can send troops and officers wherever he wants, even into courts where justice is being done by an independent branch of government. Dugan, however, also becomes a symbol of police state abuse. As we've discussed previously, when people cannot come to a courtroom for fear of arrest, they won't testify. And that could help other victims. Or they won't show up and surrender to the charges that they might already be facing. Now, nobody is saying courthouses have to be bubbles. There are circumstances that warrant a courthouse arrest, but there is a line, and Trump is clearly happy to bulldoze right over it. After all, this is a regime that arrests people while they're in the process of following the rules to become citizens. It is utter lawlessness that will only be encouraged by yesterday's verdict. By the way, thanks in no small measure to another Milwaukee judge there, who in her testimony seemed to knuckle under in ways no differently than the chickens who call themselves members of Congress or Supreme Court justices or journalists. And you can all sit in that pot of water all you want, but don't cry to me when you ask, why is the water suddenly bubbling? Dugan faces a maximum of 5 years in prison, though federal judges have discretion when making a decision. No sentencing date has been set, and an appeal is certain. In another story, attorneys general in Wisconsin and 9 other states have reached a $4.25 million settlement with Menards over allegations that the retailer misled customers with deceptive rebate advertising. An investigation by the collection of states found that the Eau Claire-based Menards advertised discounts in ways that suggested immediate savings at the checkout when, in reality, customers received in-store merchandise credit for future purchases. For example, Menards advertises 11% off or 11% off everything in ways that imply instant price cuts, while failing to explain the limits of the rebate program, burying the key details in fine print, according to the states. Menards also told customers that Rebates International was a separate company that handles the rebates, even though it actually is operated by Menards itself. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost said, "Fine print shouldn't cancel out big promises. If a deal isn't an immediate discount, companies need to say that plainly so customers can make informed choices." Now, under the settlement, Menards must research online rebate submission options and explore allowing customers to use rebates on online purchases. Menards must also give customers at least a year to submit rebates, along with other policy changes as a result of the settlement. Because if you've never used one of these Menards rebates, yes, it's very old school. You need to fill out the form, lick an envelope, put a stamp on it, send it in. I've noticed this with a lot of stores now where they advertise like an online special. And then people go to the store and they're mad because they can't get the discount because it's online only, and vice versa. There's things that you want to buy online. You don't want to have to go to the store, but the store makes you do it. And so a case like this shows that there are still people looking out for the consumer who are saying to the retailer, hey, you can have specials all you want, but if you're going to play games with online versus in the store or rebates versus instant discounts, you better be clear as day in what it is that you're advertising. It just all kind of reminds me of the day as a TV reporter we were called to an Eau Claire courtroom in 1997 We heard that there'd been some kind of like a John Doe investigation or something, but we knew nothing else. And then in walks John Menard himself, where he was found of illegally dumping chromium and arsenic-laden wood ash by taking the results of fire, burning lumber, taking that ash, and instead of getting rid of it as a hazardous waste, he'd take it home and put it in his household trash. It led to a $1.7 million fine, and at the time, Menard had just become or was about to become a billionaire. And so we looked at that $1.7 million, and similarly, I'm looking at the $4.25 million of that settlement yesterday, and that is quite literally pocket change to a billionaire. It is the cost of doing business. But hopefully that cost of doing business continues to involve attorneys general and lawyers who are always going to be looking out for the employees, the customers, and our natural resources. Today's history lesson is coming up next. I'm Pat Kreitlow. You're up north.
It's time once again for today's history lesson on Mornings with Pat Kreitlow.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
It's one small step for man.
Well, I'm not a crook.
You believe in miracles? Yes!
You know, this depression is going to be so great. We'll be the ones eating the cats and the dogs. That's going to be fun.
Once again, it is time to take another revealing peek back into history.
Here's today's history lesson with a little earth, wind, and fire, starting with today's anniversary of the birth of the late, great Maurice White, singer-songwriter, producer, arranger, band leader. Earth, Wind, and Fire received 20 Grammy nominations, the first all-black band to sell out Madison Square Garden. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. They're in the Hall of Fame of your heart. Not just me, but Greg Bach as well. Yes, Greg?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely.
And anybody else want to say that they're a big Earth, Wind, and Fire fan? Anybody else?
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is.
Wait, who is that? Who is that?
That appears to be one Luke Mathers.
Yeah.
Welcome to welcome. Luke was our very first producer, so Luke is here to tap dance on the show's grave at the end of it as well.
You guys keep talking on the live stream. I have to fix something that's just bothering me right now. You guys keep talking, though.
I know it's bothering you. You go fix it.
It's bothering me, too.
Hello, Mr. Mathers.
Good morning, Mr. Kreitlow. I figured I saw some of your friends from the Wisconsin Public Education Network do a little surprise yesterday, and it gave me an excellent idea. So I wanted to not dance on your grave, but congratulate you and celebrate one final today's history lesson with you.
Thank you. It is, as Tony says on YouTube, is this the handsome and capable Luke Mathers? I don't know. For that, we go to Greg Bach for confirmation, who trademarked that phrase originally.
We're getting breaking news right now. The very handsome and very capable Luke Mathers is here in the virtual studio. Correct. Thank you, Tony from Ashland.
All right, back to regular programming. So, Mr. Mathers, I've been worried about you. Mostly because, Giannis being out and the Bucks, kind of stinking up the joint. But, we're keeping you away from sharp instruments, right?
Oh, of course. But I'm also trying to calm down all of the folks that are going a little crazy online, because it's definitely it's not a great time to be a Bucks fan, but I don't think everybody needs to be hitting the panic button all the time.
I don't know. That seems to be.
Did you hear they're going to double trade Giannis? Oh my God!
They're going to cut him in half and trade him to two teams.
Yeah,
crazy.
They're actually just making a total NBA in Greece, and he's going. Did you hear that, man?
It's really weird when you have 29 other franchises that would absolutely love the player that is the star on your team, and they have all the incentive and motivation to be able to drum up things like that.
Of course they do. It's a cottage industry. We got to have content. Yeah. Well, Mr. Mathers, you're here for a bit of musical history as part of the history lesson. On this week in 2019, 25 years after its initial release, Mariah Carey was #1 on the Billboard charts with this song for the very first time.
Wait, is this a new song?
It may as well be, right?
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah. So here's the deal. And we have all talked about this as part of the history lesson. Who has spent the most weeks at number one? And once upon a time, it was Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men. Their song One Sweet Day had been number one for 16 weeks from 1995 to 96. Then that mark was passed in 2017. It was passed by Despacito, Morgan Wallen's Last Night, Lil Nas's Old Town Road, and now Shabuzi's bar song Tipsy at 19 weeks at number one. But as of this week, because Mariah Carey is number one this week, the record is hers. Hit it. You like that? I've considered being a disc jockey in some future life here.
You hit the post pretty good there.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I love this song very, very much. It's in my top 3 of all-time great Christmas songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say the best version of it I've ever heard is the one she did on I think it was the old Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. I don't think it was the Tonight Show.
Oh, with the tiny instruments?
With the tiny instruments and the little kids. Oh my gosh. And everyone's having fun, but yet Mariah Carey still has to be dressed like she's going to a Paris runway show.
Of course she does. Yes. Yeah. I hadn't even seen the original video in forever and saw that yesterday and then wanted to look up the Jimmy Fallon one and got sidelined. But I got to go look for that because the kids are so perfect on this. In this line coming up right here. And the kids all come up and go, and I. Yeah. It's adorable.
I mean, it's no having a magical, wonderful Christmas time, but you know, you can shoot for better, I guess.
You think Paul McCartney's ever going to get 20 weeks for that schlock? I don't think so.
Let's take all of his number one weeks and put them all together, buddy. Let's talk about that. Who had five? Who had the 5 spots in the top 10?
Well, Taylor Swift, right? Anyway,
actually, no, they had the top 5. They had the.
I know.
What is happening?
I think whatever Mathers was doing over there. See, he's out of practice. That's all right. Anyway, so there's a little history there for Mariah Carey. 20 weeks at number one. Granted, spread across 31 years, but hey, a record is a record.
Oh, I see. We're bringing in the technicalities of it all.
Well. That's been part of the debate because when you look at who's spent multiple weeks at number one, but outside of one cycle, there's Mariah Carey here at 20 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one other song on that list, Chubby Checkers' "The Twist," which spent 3 weeks at number one, spaced over 2 years.
Yeah.
So this song is what they might call a juggernaut.
I'll say this. Anyone who wants to get into the nitty gritty about it and get all like whatever, the only people allowed to be part of that argument are people who have number one hits. Other than that, be quiet. It's a great song. Well, I don't know. It's not in a row. Shut up.
Tony on YouTube. Mariah Carey is okay, but have you heard DMX?
Oh God, oh my God.
Yesterday.
That was fantastic.
It was.
I was so.
Now I have to know. Did he do more Christmas songs before his passing?
I don't think so.
Oh, please
I think it was a one and done.
There's got to be tapes somewhere.
And I want to imagine there was a conversation where they said, "All right, so we'll do like a little more Christmassy." Like, what do you mean? Like, we'll do it like more Christmassy. Well, like it'll be more like a different. Why would I do that? I'm DMX. You're very right, sir. I'm sorry for even bringing it up.
Luke, are you still on board? Did you hear our DMX tribute yesterday? I think he might be.
He's fixing
his little. Okay, he'll be back. Let's see. Happy birthday, as the history lesson rolls on, to Walter Murphy, who is 73 years old today. The only person I can think of who could take Beethoven and make him relevant in the disco age. Get all the disco keyboards in there and everything else too. Kevin McHale is 68 years old today. Basketball great, former Celtic, former Gopher. The late great Reggie White was born this day 64 years ago. And we lost him way too soon at the age of 43 back in 2004. Happy birthday to Jennifer Beals, the actress from Flashdance, turns 62 years old today. Look at how Mathers is resisting the urge to dance. You know he has danced to this one so many times.
You know, I know that Jennifer Beals is forever tied to this song, to this movie, but for me, she's forever the L word, and that's probably a very niche reference for this audience. But for me, she's always bet. She's always bet.
I had never seen that show. Heard nothing but good things about it, though.
Yeah, a lot of drama.
Alyssa Milano is 53 years old today. Jake Gyllenhaal is 45. On this day in 1964, the Supremes scored their third #1 song of the year. You know who would love spinning this song? Venus Flytrap from WKRP. Played so well by Tim Reed, who is 81 years old today.
Nice.
Thank you.
We're rewatching Simon. We've been watching Simon and Simon over the past year.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And he just downtown.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see. On this day in 2014, Darlene Love sings Christmas, Baby Please Come Home on David Letterman's show for the final time, as the host had announced his retirement. Here is the first time she sang Christmas, Baby Please Come Home on David Letterman's show back in 1986. At that point, people were like, Darlene Love, is she still alive? Is she still around? Yeah, very much so. And David Letterman got tired of hearing Paul Schaefer play it on the keyboard every year and said, why don't you just bring her in to sing it? And she did, and a tradition was born.
It's funny because David Letterman now has a very comprehensive, great YouTube channel with all the old clips and interviews, and it's wonderful. And it's funny to watch Paul Schaefer just insert himself into all the musical performances any way he can, and he'll be like singing back, like, no one asked you to do this, Paul. Just take a break. Take a break. Have water. Just shush.
Let's see. Two more quick ones here. Titanic opened in theaters this day in 1997. Obligatory Celine Dion song. All right, before y'all hurt yourselves, we should bring that down.
This reminds me that Ariana Grande is hosting SNL this week, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Oh. If she lost her ability to sing tomorrow, she'd be set for life still, because her talent is not just singing. Her impressions and her comedy is ridiculous.
Her impressions are ridiculously good. Yes.
Yeah. I think I'm going to watch the first one she hosted and then watch this one this weekend.
Greg Bach, I really appreciate you being in here for the last rodeo.
Yeah,
this
of course.
has been great. Loving these history lessons.
Yeah.
We've learned so much about music together.
Mm-hmm.
So many great milestones. I actually have one more.
Yeah.
It was on This Week in 1968. There was a new #1 album. This was the title track off it. Look how happy he is.
This is for you, Brittany. I am the lineman for the county, and I drive the main road.
I think Brittany's finally singing along to the radio someplace.
Searching under the sun for another overload. Can you get triple sued by a company for playing the song and then two dorks singing it too? I don't know.
Quite possibly, but you know why? Because it's the best sing-along song ever.
It is. It's funny. We've talked about it so much that the other day someone brought it up and like, oh, man, Glenn Campbell's good. What's that song? I go, Wichita Lineman? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I sing that song like 5 times a week. Really?
Yeah.
Don't you all?
You should.
Isn't that come standard in your car nowadays? Like that song comes standard on your car?
That's so funny. Luke Mathers and Greg Bach joining us for the history lesson here. What a treat. This is just great. We have more coming up after 7 o'clock, of course. We've got our weekend review panel will be joining us to look through the headlines one final time. Mike Clemens preview sports as well. Packers-Bears coming up tomorrow. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Man, man, we are just kicking old school 100% here. Bringing back Stevie Ray Vaughan, bringing back Luke Mathers, Greg Bach is here, Parker Olson. We've been singing Wichita Lineman. I mean, all the greatest hits are coming out today.
And now, Pat, here's your 4th grade teacher.
Mrs. Gavin, how are you?
You go to the principal's office, young man. I don't like your guff.
That would, yes, I could totally see that happening. Mr. Mathers, what a year. But you've had some amazing travels this year.
Yes, I have. It sounds like the Christmas card was delivered.
Where was the best one? What was your favorite?
Best was probably Acadia National Park. So that was a bucket list item that it was on there for a while, and we got it checked off in October with the fall foliage and the lobster rolls and the hiking. It was fantastic.
Okay. Any plans for next year? I know what a traveler you guys like to be.
We're gonna try to squeeze some in, but we might have our hands full. But that's all I'm gonna say on that subject.
Aww. Look at it, Parker's face.
Yeah. We'll see. Big things coming in 2026.
Or little tiny things. You never know. We'll see.
God, you guys suck at keeping things like secret and stuff.
Right. Tony on YouTube, Luke sent a physical Christmas card. Yes, some of us still do that, Tony. We still send actual cards.
I wouldn't know.
I don't have Greg's address. I apologize, Greg.
I don't have it on here. No, Greg.
Pack your bags, kids, because Greg's taking on a guilt trip. Here we go.
Somebody throw him a life ring there in the pity pool. Okay. What do we have for the National Day calendar today? Mr.
It
Olson?
is National Hard Candy Day.
Hard Candy Day. How appropriate that is. The old guy is wrapping up his radio show. I got a pocket of hard candies here, little Werther's Originals.
I always wondered if you did.
Back in my day, you just took. I was going to say, back in my day, we would leave them in the wrappers.
What else we got?
It is National Underdog Day.
Like overall, or the cartoon with Sweet Polly Purebred?
My guess was overall.
Okay. Well,
maybe you're right though.
I mean, we're all kind of underdogs in our own way. That was really deep. And finally, on the National Day calendar,
it's Ugly Sweater Day.
Oh, I forgot.
I don't have. Should have looked ahead.
I don't have an ugly sweater because it's got Snoopy on it, but it's it's like one of your typical tacky Christmas sweaters. Very, very green, very white and red, and it's got Snoopy on there. You got everybody guilty of having a Christmas sweater? You all have one now?
Oh yeah. I've got. But the thing is, none of them are ugly. They're all like.
They're
trendy
classy.
Ugly. They're all trendy ugly. Like they're ugly sweaters, but they're just that design with something on it. Mine has Jesus and Santa in a roller coaster car, and Jesus is killing aliens.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not ugly at all.
No,
that's wonderful.
That's
on
a
my
season sweater. You can wear that anytime you want.
Not according to certain workplace requirements, but okay, whatever. Driving in every morning, there's a billboard that always has a National Day listing, and today is National Oatmeal Muffin Day. And I thought, is also today National? Is that the last one left day? Because no one wants an oatmeal.
Nobody wants an oatmeal muffin.
You want a chocolate muffin or
oatmeal muffins all the time.
Of course, Luke does. Of course, Luke comes in and.
Captain Healthy is back on the beat here.
It's also National, hey, who ate the last oatmeal muffin day? Okay, there you go. There you go. Luke's got his own day.
Okay, now it feels much better. We got one entertainment note that I think is hilarious here, Parker.
I'm going to guess that this is the Wiz Khalifa one.
No, the first one there.
No, it's the Coldplay one. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, did you guess wrong, Parker?
I don't know.
It's the first one on the list there. I figured.
Right, well,
anyway.
Coldplay concert. You remember that back in this summer when that woman and that man made the worst meme of all time? Yes, the woman. She has spoken out.
Kristen Cabot. Yes.
She says, quote, made a bad mistake or made a bad decision, had a couple of high noons and danced and acted inappropriately with my boss.
She's blaming high noons.
Yes,
that's the best.
High Noon.
If I work for High Noon, I'm suing her immediately.
I'm signing her up immediately. Yeah. Hey, you want to go viral? Have a few of these. You know.
You want to make some High Noons? Make a bad decision with style.
Don't worry. Most of the time, you're not at a Coldplay concert where you get put on the jumbotron and have your mistakes.
Well, that's why I said when she said she made a big mistake, I thought she was going to say going to a Coldplay concert. But that
tour was fantastic. I saw it at Camp Randall, and it was an excellent show. And it was the first show after that incident happened, and the band had a good time about it. Like he gave a very, very keen warning. Not to be, making any mistakes with High Noons before they started that song.
High Noon, because who can afford to go to a Coldplay concert?
I'm pretty sure Barstool owns that, so you might be able to pitch him some good ideas. Like
Great, Barstool.
They definitely will.
They'll eat that up.
Sorry, I have a lasting dislike for Mr. Portnoy. Okay. I'll say it on the air. I'll say it right now, right here. I'll say it. I did.
Say it's my last show. You can pretty much say whatever you want to say. I've already advocated for the firing of Doc Rivers. We just go ahead and get it all out today. Get it all out.
Dear David Kirschbaum, you made second grade awful. I've written it down.
All right. What is the Wiz Khalifa story that you were so excited about, Parker?
Wiz Khalifa has been sentenced to 9 months in jail in Romania because he was smoking weed on stage.
Smoking weed on stage in Romania gets you 9 months in prison?
A legal expert has said that it's unusually harsh.
Well, he could just do what the Tate brothers did and suck up to Trump, and Trump can be like, let him out.
See?
Let him out.
Yeah.
He's a friend.
It's the way things go. You just ask for a pardon. It's how things work. It's what we're going to ask our week in review panel all about here in just a little bit. But first, Mr. Mathers, again, I was looking back at the first week of shows, and it was so fun. I knew immediately how much fun this was going to be, having you there to help set things up. And then, Greg, Aaron Zommers, and the whole crew of producers. You guys all, God love you all. Thank you, Luke.
It was an absolute pleasure, Pat, and the state has been better for the last 3 years with you on the airwaves, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Happy holidays to you, and we will talk again in the new year. Greg, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything, my friend. You are awesome.
You take care. We will take a break here for the news, come back, and have our Week in Review panel up next. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Hey, good morning. Welcome back. It's a Friday morning, December 19th. Nice to have you here up north one more time. Parker Olson producing things down in Madison Studio A2. Our Week in Review panel is here. Former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel, journalist Mark Jacob, and Jennifer Schulze will be along as well. And, of course, we always like hearing from you, especially on this final day of the show. There will be 2 weeks of highlights before there's some new stuff from Civic Media coming up in the new year. On the text line, let's see, Tom in Hartford. Pat, your view on politics is what I will miss most. Very informing and honest, so needed in these crazy times. Jim in Appleton, thank you for starting my weekdays with an occasional smile whenever the political scene wasn't being destructive. Julie in Wausau, I will miss your morning show, Pat. Thank you for your kind and reasonable commentary. Roger in Stevens Point, you informed us on what we needed to know. You were clear and concise and to the point. I'd like to thank you for being a voice of reason. Best wishes to you and your future with Courier and Up North News. It's been quite a ride. Let's see. What else do we got here? Joe in La Crosse. Thanks, Pat, for having a great show. I'm really going to miss listening to you in the morning. Good luck in your future endeavors. And then a couple of people reminded me that I asked a question at the top of the last hour, and then I forgot to answer it. Who was our very first guest? And that would be then Wausau Mayor Katie Rosenberg, talking about goats in the park that were taking care of buckthorn. And also PFAS in the water, and the ways that Mayor Rosenberg was showing leadership in that respect in Wausau, and her decision to endorse Mandela Barnes in the upcoming U.S. Senate primary, which would be days later. As we began this show back on August 1st, we did 62 mid-morning shows from 8 to 11 in the morning. And then in November, they asked us to move this thing to 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is now show number 711 of those. So what is that? 773 shows that we've all done together. And I appreciate very much all of you for being here. Tom says, I always wonder who is the announcer who introduced your show at the top of the hour? Don Rue. Don and I go way, way back. We worked together at WAQE in Rice Lake. My first job right out of UW Eau Claire. Don was the morning guy. I was the news guy. And We had a lot of fun in Rice Lake, and somehow we've managed to live and maintain marriages and healthy families, and are still alive after all this time. So the least Don could do was be my announcer for these past couple of years. Don, thank you very much for that. All right, now, despite all of the kind comments, and I do appreciate them, before we get to the Week in Review panel, I'm going to share what I did in the last hour as well, my thoughts on yesterday's conviction of Judge Hannah Dugan. And there is ample room for people to disagree on the question of whether it was appropriate for her to have an undocumented immigrant who was before her on a different matter go through the main door where there was a group of officers waiting to arrest him, or whether to avoid that scene of chaos and say, here, go out the side door, a side door that was literally 10 feet away, and would not have disrupted her courtroom. Now, again, people can disagree on this, but here's my view. Donald Trump's police state won a round by securing a felony conviction for a judge who stood up for independent courts free from chaos and interference and intimidation. The jury foreman told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel it was a difficult day, 6 hours of deliberation that led to a guilty verdict on a felony charge of obstruction, although they acquitted her of a misdemeanor charge of concealing a person in order to evade arrest, which really seems to be at the heart of the charges here. So it just seems like Dugan trying to assert some sort of judicial independence counts as obstruction in the Trump regime. Steve Biskupik, Dugan's attorney, told reporters it's unclear how the jury could have reached a split verdict since the elements of both charges were virtually the same. U.S. Attorney Brad Schimmel denied the case was political, urged people to accept the verdict peacefully. We are. He said the defendant is certainly not evil, nor is she a martyr for some greater cause. On that point, I disagree. Because Donald Trump wanted to make her a symbol of how he can send troops and officers wherever he wants, even into courts where justice is being done by an independent branch of government. Dugan becomes a symbol for him, but frankly, Dugan also becomes a symbol of police state abuse. Because as I've mentioned previously, when people cannot come to a courtroom for fear of arrest, they won't testify in cases that involve other victims. They won't show up and surrender to charges that they're facing. And I'm not saying courthouses have to be bubbles. There are circumstances that warrant a courthouse arrest, but there's a line, and Trump is clearly happy to bulldoze right over it. This is, after all, a regime that arrests people while they're in the process of following the rules to become citizens. And this ruling only encourages the utter lawlessness that has come as a result of this. Dugan faces a maximum of 5 years in prison, though federal judges have discretion when making a decision. No sentencing date has been set, but an appeal is certain. 7:12 right now. Time to bring in our Week in Review panel. Journalist Jennifer Schulze and Mark Jacob and former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. Good morning to all of you. Jim, as a former U.S. Attorney who also hosts Amicus, a law review, Saturday mornings across the Civic Media radio network at 9 a.m. You know how very much I respect you, and I gave you fair warning that I wanted to editorialize about this first without having any idea where you came down on the split verdict yesterday. But by all means, the floor is yours.
Pat, first of all, it has been such a great honor to be with you on these Friday mornings, other times as well. As all of your guests, all of your wonderful friends and colleagues have said, your departure from these airwaves is a loss to all of us, including on issues like this. We anticipate more from you in the future, and that will certainly happen.
Thank you.
On this issue, all of us need to be thoughtful about the ways that we talk about it, as you have just done, recognizing that people may have different views on this, including the initial decision to charge at all. That's also a discretionary decision, and I would suggest that much of the conversation should revolve around that issue as well. Let me say something that I said last night and then get to some more particulars about this as well. And again, coming from a former federal prosecutor, for 30 years, I did this work involving the prosecution of people who have violated our federal criminal code and who engaged in conduct that is contrary to and upsets our basic notions of decency and rightness and safety and security, all of those things. It is important, as you have just said, for all of us to recognize that every single criminal prosecution is human tragedy. It's human tragedy, whether it's Donald Trump, Hannah Dugan, anyone who's charged in our state or federal courts. No one today, no one at any time in the future should be reveling in this result and saying, yes, indeed, this is a reason for America to celebrate today. When I was a U.S. attorney, we always did this. We said, you know what? Your closing argument was well done. Your argument on that evidentiary issue was spot on. You did a good job in doing cross-examination. We never congratulated anybody on a result in either direction, acquittal or non-acquittal. And I would offer that that's one of the principal issues that should animate the discussion, which will certainly go forward today. As we think about this, we also should celebrate the very notion that you and others, all of us, can, including me, can get on this public forum and observe things like that, make those points. That's what our nation is all about. We do, as you just indicated, we do respect the jury process. And for those people who would throw out the verdict, that is contrary to that basic view about the process. Other questions related, again, to the legitimacy of the prosecution, the politicization of issues that are out there, those are fair game for public discussion. But let's not forget the seriousness of this. This is, as always said, the single most dramatic thing, significant thing that a government can do, charging with a crime and potentially robbing you, taking away your personal liberty. Let's not forget the seriousness of what has happened here and in every other case out there involving criminal prosecution. One small example of it, I was stunned yesterday evening when a congressman from the United States, from Wisconsin, going to the United States Congress, we send him there, posted. He's since changed it this morning, I just noted, but talked about this verdict and said those words, which take back everything that I have just said and that undermine our system. He said, lock her up.
And this guy wants to be governor.
Exactly.
That's the amazing thing.
That's the kind of conversation we cannot be having today. It is deplorable that a congressman, a candidate for a governor, would undermine our system and not talk about the merits and demerits of prosecution, the larger issues which this case brings forward. That comment is condemnable.
Well, Jim, nobody's going to accuse Tom Tiffany of being a deep thinker on this particular case, and it's easy politics for him to make. Mark Jacob, your own take on things?
Well, I don't have any big legal nuances. I will just say that on a moral standpoint, I think Judge Dugan did the right thing, and I think that she should be admired. And there is such a thing as civil disobedience, even if technically she violated law, and I don't know if she did or not. But I'm just saying, regardless, there's such a thing as standing up for what's right.
Jennifer Schulze.
I would agree with Mark, and I would also just add, just think about how we got here in the first place. It's just a stunning place for the country to be, and for us to have been for almost a year now that this even happened, that agents are chasing down and plotting to grab people in courtrooms, in Home Depots, in everywhere. It's just such a sad turn of events. But it's been a year of that, and it really just makes me sad.
Well, and I guess, Jim, the part that's the toughest, the gray area that I talked about is, having, essentially, gangs of officers outside of courthouse doors. And again, that's not to say that's never, that there's never a place for that, but the concerns about having that kind of intimidation right there at the courthouse door. Should chief justices or other courts officials, I know they've talked about this, but should they be even quicker to come up with policies on arrests in courthouses and courthouse hallways? Or is that all empty discussion because Trump's going to put stormtroopers wherever he wants?
It is not at all empty discussion, Pat. And that's one of the productive things that can come of the discussion that we have today about this very controversial matter. The law, of course, is that federal and state law enforcement officers with warrants and also with probable cause, even without warrants, do have the capacity to make arrests. That's also fundamentally embracing notions related to the rule of law. Having said that, what do public officials do, including chief judges of circuit courts, including federal judges, all kinds of judges and policymakers out there? This is not just a judge issue. Make determinations that can preserve both that right and that prerogative of law enforcement to make arrests, and also preserve access to courts and other public places to ensure that they are also open and that they're not places of fear. That's a tough thing to balance. That's the policy thing that needs to be worked on even more.
Still ahead, we'll talk to our panel about renaming the Kennedy Center the Trump Kennedy Center. Can we just go ahead and use the word megalomaniac now, or is there a different word that comes into play? From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, one final time with our Week in Review panel. Former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel, journalist Mark Jacob, and Jennifer Schulze are here as well. And I am so thankful for all the perspective they have lent to us over the many months, couple of years here that we've been talking about things that are in the news, from the serious to the sublime to whatever the hell this is, Mark. Donald Trump has now put his name on the Kennedy Center. It's now the Trump Kennedy Center, apparently. And this is a guy that recently declared that his birthday is a holiday when it comes to free days at national parks, but he removed a couple of days like Juneteenth. It's megalomania of a type that, I mean, I don't know how many I told you so's we can offer out there, but I got to say it's even probably stretched what a lot of other people would have thought in the I told you so category.
Yeah, and he also renamed the Institute of Peace for himself. Mr. Peace, who's about to start a war with Venezuela.
Doing a regime change in Venezuela. Right.
First thing I thought of when I heard the news about the supposed Trump Kennedy Center, which, by the way, he can't do that. It's it has to go through Congress, but of course,
same as the Department of Defense, right?
Right. Yep. He doesn't care about that, and the facts on the ground are he can just declare it, and some people will believe it. But the first thing I thought of was that cats will pee to mark their territory, and especially when they're under stress, and so fascists do the same thing, and I feel like that Trump is under stress now, and so he's quick, trying to find things to name for himself, and to me it's sad. It just shows kind of how the sick personality he is, and this is another thing, Pat, that nobody would have tolerated this 10 years ago. And so for us to get used to this kind of crap is just writing our own death ticket.
Well, where it really belongs, Jim Santel, is on the front of that big, beautiful U.S. Supreme Court building. I will not be surprised to see Trump put his name in big lights up there. The U.S. Supreme Court, brought to you by Donald Trump.
They're doing some tuck pointing on the building right now. All the pictures show it with that bunting, that facade there covered. So maybe there's an opportunity. Don't dismiss the notion that he isn't looking around Washington. And let me follow up on this very good point that you and Mark just made about who's responsible for doing these kinds of things. Yes, indeed. The Civic's point is the Congress created the Kennedy Center. Congress creates all these agencies. It is still the Department of Defense. All of that is understood. When I first heard this, I had two reactions. One is I think about that iconic bust, huge bust of John Kennedy in the foyer there, and the magnificence of that place. And I was frankly just shocked by that. But secondarily, my other reaction was, this is in its own way yet another instance of this president's declaration that we don't need the Congress. He has said that out loud, and his dismissal as a despot and authoritarian does of a legislative branch that does have a role to play. Whenever he does this, he is reaffirming that basic belief that we're done. We don't need the Congress anymore. Supreme Court is doing exactly what he wants. He is now the authoritarian that we all predicted.
As long as the Derek Van Ordens and the Tony Weeds and the Brian Stiles roll over, then yes, that's exactly the thought of him putting a bust of himself next to Kennedy's is just sickening. But Jennifer, this comes back to what journalists do about this, and there may be some journalists that have started using the term Gulf of America, or maybe the War Department, but I think if you're really looking for a line of credibility in newsrooms, there really even shouldn't be a debate as far as whether they're going to call things the Defense Department and the Gulf of America, if it is clear that only Congress can change the name of something.
Absolutely. I mean, there are practices and there are rules and there are traditions, but Donald Trump is busting through all of that. And I just don't feel like we as a country, and certainly the press, are pushing back hard enough. Yesterday was a perfect example. They were obsessed with the idea that this was a unanimous vote. It wasn't. And news organizations across the board, not just Fox, went with the idea that unanimously, look what happened. Oh my God, this is so exciting. It was unanimous. They changed the name. Well, in fact, they muted the remaining Democrat on the committee and didn't let her vote. And
of course.
And I just think, but where did the information about the unanimous vote come from to begin with? Trump. We just still give so much credibility to what they say, and it ends up in headlines, and then that becomes the theme of the day. I don't even know if anybody bothered to walk it back and say, oops, we were wrong about that. It's a small thing, sort of, but I think it's representative of Trump says. They set the narrative, and I think every time they say anything, you have to stop and say, hold up. We're gonna look into that before we rush it out.
But even if you do, Jennifer, they still the shamelessness of this, where you have a president in a speech, if you could call it that, claiming that he's going to lower some prescription drug prices by as much as 600%. Okay, mathematically not a thing. And Fox anchor John Roberts pointed that out to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, that this was mathematically impossible. But of course, Lutnick, rather than saying, yeah, he says, well, what we're saying is if a drug was $100 and you bring it down to $13, if you're looking at it from 13, that's down 7 times. And so Robert said, well, that's not a 600% reduction. And Lutnick says, well, but it's a 700% higher price before. So it's down 700%, right? That's not how it works.
Pat, this is not a guy.
Math now.
No.
This is not a guy who doesn't understand math.
Right.
This is a guy who understands lying.
Yes.
I mean, this guy, he's super rich. He's in, head of Cantor Fitzgerald. He's big shot in New York City finance. So, I mean, it's not that he just doesn't understand how math works. No, he's trying to con the public.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just so. And Jim, I'm sure people have tried to get away with fuzzy math in courts before, but before this era, you weren't supposed to be allowed to do that. But now there are no rules.
And in previous times, including, frankly, about a year ago under the Biden administration, and before that under all sorts of other administrations, you go into federal court and you do, whether it's fuzzy math of that kind or make the misrepresentations that this administration is making, and you will be in big trouble. And that's not just small trouble. Your bar license can be on the line. And more importantly, with respect to the positions that you're advocating for, you will lose. And so it's actually contrary to the interests of any government to say these kinds of things. I was in court just yesterday morning, and again, frankly, the Milwaukee County Circuit Court, we had this implicit discussion about what does the proof show and what does it mean? What does it say? And yes, there are arguments about it, but they're not these wild misrepresentations suggesting that X is Y and that black is white.
There was also, Mark, Trump claiming credit for a military bonus, a warrior dividend of $1,776, which turns out people were wondering, well, where's that money coming from? It's actually money that was already approved by Congress as a military housing stipend that is coming to them, that he's now just repackaging and calling it a Trump warrior bonus. But again, we talk about the news in this segment, and the segment, the question is, how many newsrooms will actually take the time to point that out, or are they afraid that they'll be labeled as political if they dare call out hypocrisy?
Right, and that's the thing that Trump gives a speech, which, by the way, was totally a political speech, so it shouldn't even have been broadcast on the networks, but it was because they bow to the would-be dictator, and that a similar speech, by the way, by Biden, they said no, we're not going to broadcast last year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that the only supposed news out of the speech was this, this what did they call it, a warrior dividend kind of thing, and people, how many times do you have to be lied to before you assume the person is a liar and he's lying to you? I don't understand. This has been a decade now, yet everyone jumped with that as the lead because it was the only news out of the speech. The rest of it was just the usual old lies instead of a new lie, and the news, the lack of a learning curve by the news media is one of the big stories of what's happened in the last decade.
Yeah, without a doubt, and you write about that quite frequently in your newsletter as well. And Jennifer, I don't know if you saw my post over the weekend, but I did officially call it. I called the time of death for CBS News, which happened last Saturday when they gave Erica Kirk a town hall along with Barry Weiss, the new head of CBS quote unquote news. All I could think of was Murrow and Cronkite and all the other people who made that the Tiffany standard of journalism, and what a sad moment that was on CBS over the weekend.
It was, and it was also a complete failure from a business point of view. The ratings were dismal. Advertisers didn't want to go anywhere near it, so there were a lot of very low-end advertisers on it. Everything about it was contrary to what a normal news organization would do. The news people weren't involved with it, right? I mean, she's a pundit. It was just badly done, and it was poorly received by the public. And then yesterday, oh goody, she announced more to come. There's going to be a new series of debates and town halls and things. And, I wrote on social media, nobody wants this.
No.
When you program for broadcasting, you're looking for opportunities to grow your audience. But that's not what any of this is about. This is about, pleasing Trump and sticking it to the left wing.
And by the way, you did the homework as seen in your column, Indistinct Chatter, which you can find at jenniferschulze.substack.com. You did turn up one town hall on CBS News featuring then President Obama in May of 2011, not in prime time, but on a weekday morning, which featured questions from journalists, whereas the Erica Kirk town hall crowd, CBS screened the audience to guarantee a sympathetic crowd. There's just nothing defensible about this, Jennifer.
No, there isn't. And so that's what's happening to CBS. It's turning into, a pundit, Trump-pleasing organization where it isn't reporting the news. What do people in America care about?
Mm-hmm.
Do cover that.
Yeah,
not this stuff.
The things
we don't need any more pundits, says the pundit.
Yeah, exactly. We're fine. And look, if you do, just clearly label it and don't call it a newscast. That's all I ask. Again, so Jennifer Schulze, you can see her on Substack. Mark Jacobs has the Stop the Presses newsletter, stopthepresses.news. Jim Santel, of course, has Amicus, a law review that you can hear on the weekends here. And to all three of you, and in the occasional subbing in by Joan Esposito as well, this has always been just my favorite hour of the week from a broadcast standpoint, the things that I learned from you. And I cannot thank you enough. Like I said, I don't know the where we're going with Up North News in 2026, but I don't doubt that I'm going to drag you along for the ride if you'll have me. Thank you again very much for everything. You guys are the best.
It's been a pleasure. Wishes, Pat. Take care.
It's just been awesome. Thank you all. And again, look for their stuff everywhere online. Do the search and make it worth your while to subscribe to their newsletters and listen to their radio programs, as in the case of Jim, on the weekends. All right, coming up, we will be joined by our senior producer, Frank Gargano, for our Week in Review quiz. That's all coming to you from the heart of America's Up North, live from Lake Wissota. Thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Well, now comes the saddest news of the day, and it's not that this is the last show, and it's not that Frank Gargano's here, because he is. That's not sad news.
That's not sad news.
It's pretty sad.
No, it's that Dr. Lyerly is under the weather and cannot join us, unfortunately, and she feels very bad about that. But we do not want people, putting themselves out. We can only have so much walking wounded on this program. So, Kristen, we love you. Thank you so much for everything you've done to make this show so enjoyable. And I will make the sacrifice, Kristen, on your behalf. Frank's going to do the weekend review quiz. Kristen, for you, I will take on your points that you have amassed, I think that should work. That seems fair.
I don't know. I think Kristen keeps her points. She's the unofficial champion.
Okay, fine. As long as she gets to be unofficial champion, that'll work. So good for her. All right, Frank, how are you?
I'm good. Ready for our final quiz together. We've got a close race. Parker has 6 points. Pat has 5. So it's like a 1-point handicap for Parker today.
Okay.
Just a reminder, your name is your buzzer. Are we ready?
Yes. I had to think about that for a minute, but yes. Okay. Let's do it.
All right. First question. Disney has narrowed down its list of actresses to star in the upcoming live action version of the movie Tangled. Which Disney princess is the star of Tangled?
Parker.
Are
you guessing, or is that really your name?
Rapunzel?
It is Rapunzel.
Oh,
7 points for Parker.
I never thought of Rapunzel as a princess. Okay, of course.
She is technically a Disney princess. Fun fact, though, Anna and Elsa from Frozen are not official Disney princesses.
What?
I know.
They are their own entity.
Their own entity?
No, they really are. Do a deep dive of it.
Oh, man. Okay.
Follow the money.
All right. Yeah.
As with everything, follow the money.
Yep. All right. What's next?
All right. Question number 2. Timothy Chalamet and Ben Stiller FaceTime members of this NBA team to celebrate their NBA Cup win.
Parker?
The
New York Knicks. New York finally got a championship.
It is the Knicks.
Well, let's put
put
championship in quotes over there. I'm just more entertained that Parker's not sure if that's his name or not when he buzzes in. So
yeah,
this is great.
Both questions, Parker?
I think.
You would think
Am
he'd
I?
be yelled. With all the times he's complained about saying that he's buzzed in first, you would think it'd be such an emphatic, loud.
Would think so, I know, but
I think without Kristen here, I'm just like I'm less sure of myself. And she's my rock.
Because you're not hearing Kristen halfway through the question.
Yeah. That's right.
She drives my competitiveness.
She does.
Yep.
All right. After 2 questions, Parker with a commanding 8-point lead. Pat just 5. Let's see if he can tie this one up. Donald Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, made headlines for her interview with Vanity Fair this week. Who did she refer to in Trump's inner circle as an odd duck?
All of them. An odd duck, Pat, Elon Musk.
It is Elon Musk. She also said he's an avowed ketamine user.
Yes, I saw that one. I missed the odd duck, but that seems... I can't even say process of elimination. It was just a lucky guess. What can I tell you?
It really could have been anyone. I think that whole thing, not to get too off topic, is one of my favorite things to happen this year.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing is just a masterpiece.
Keeps on giving, yes.
The Carolyn Levitt close-up picture with the lip injection sites is...
Oh, God.
Oh, it's chef's kiss.
Oh.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yep.
On a more sad note, we tragically lost beloved actor and filmmaker Rob Reiner this past weekend. Who portrayed the character Fezzik in the movie The Princess Bride?
Pat, Billy Crystal?
It is not Billy Crystal. Parker?
Fezzik.
Pat Kreitlow in his previous life?
No.
No.
Oh.
Any other guesses?
Got nothing.
I got nothing.
Who is Fezzik?
It's Andre the Giant.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I mean, I know all the actors. I just did not know the character name. So, okay.
Billy Crystal played Miracle Max.
Miracle
I just
Max,
watched it the other day. My wife had never seen it. So I was like, well, we have to put it on.
Yes.
Parker, I'm assuming you've never seen it.
It must be on your list. And then you respond with, as you wish, which you don't understand,
Bingo.
but you will when you see the film. All right, I got to catch up. Let's go.
All right, let's see. Parker is 8. Pat has 6. Let's see if he can tie it up. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs were eliminated from playoff contention. When was the last time the playoffs didn't include Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, or Patrick Mahomes? Closest answer
Pat,
wins.
2017.
Pat's going with 2017. Parker?
I think before that, so I'm just going to say
just say under. You're going to take the under? Okay.
I'm just going to say 2016 because it was longer than that, I think.
1998 was the
Good
last
Lord.
time it didn't feature Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes.
By the way, if you're wondering about the delay from Verizon or whatever cell phone company Kristen uses, she just texted me, Kristen, Andre the Giant.
See, this is why I miss having Kristen here, because I knew she'd get that one.
And no, this one just comes at 1998. So guess what?
Amazing.
She actually won that question. She's already won the damn contest, and she's still winning questions.
I knew she would.
You're going to get tired of winning.
Yep. So much winning. All right. I think we got time for one more.
We've got time for one more. All right. This was the bonus question I wrote down.
Right.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are set to produce a new rom-com for Netflix.
Oh, no.
What is Prince Harry's legal last name?
Pat,
Parker.
Windsor.
Parker, who got it first? Did Pat?
Pat.
Did he say his name first?
I said Windsor or Windsor Mountbatten. Yes.
It is Mountbatten Windsor technically,
Mountbatten,
but I will
Windsor.
give you that one.
All right. Good thing that was worth 10 points. I win. This is so great. I love this quiz. This was the best. It's fun to be the contestant and
Rigged
the
from the
commissioner all at the same time.
I never had a chance.
Frank, this was awesome. Thank you so much for putting
Thank
this
you.
together. Kristen's over
Always
here. I knew
so
that
fun.
one too. Kristen, go to bed. The rest of you, hang around. One more hour. The last hour. Coming to you live from Lake Wissota, I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
So here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Thank you, Don Rue. It is Friday morning, December 19th, 2025. 8:06. Nice to have you back here up north on this Friday morning. Parker Olson producing things down in Madison. You can reach us here at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. At least for another, 53 minutes or so before we wrap things up here. But keep in mind that after this show is done and I simply revert to working full-time at Up North News, the organization I started 6 years ago, you can still reach me there. Let's see, the email address we've been using all this time is radio@upnorthnewswi.com. That'll probably still work, but the general inbox is info@upnorthnewswi.com. So add that in. Send us some news tips, questions, comments, feedback all along the way. We appreciate it all for the work that I'm doing at Up North News and by extension for Courier Newsroom, the parent company of Up North News with all of its many state outlets, national podcasts and newsletters and merchandise. Head over to couriernewsroom.com to learn more. So Parker is here along with senior producer Frank Gargano, and unfortunately, Dr. Lyerly sends her regards, but is horribly under the weather and just cannot join us today. Has sent a lot of love via text message, and we love her right back. And Kristen, hope that you feel better real soon. Parker and Frank will do their best to help me get through this half hour. That the one that Kristen normally brightens. So
yeah, no
guys,
pressure.
no pressure there, guys. Yikes. Well, here's what I did in the meantime here. I went back and I looked at the notes for the first week of shows because like any good pack rat, I have all of the notes and I have all 711 of these, morning shows are downloaded and someday I'll just listen to them back in the nursing home, I guess. So I mentioned already our very first guest was Wausau Mayor Katie Rosenberg. And so I just wanted to look at some of the other guests that we had that first week. We had on the second day, August 2nd, we had 3 candidates for Congress, Rebecca Cook, Brad Paff, and Deb Baldus McGrath. The next day, we had one more congressional candidate. Mark Newman was in, Robert Craig from Citizen Action. We had Dr. Lyerly on along with Kirk Bangstead on our third show on August 3rd, along with Jillian Patino, a political candidate. Kia Vakil from Courier Newsroom joined us on our fourth day on that Thursday, along with Senator Tammy Baldwin. And then Cam Stevenson from Courier Newsroom joined us on that Friday. So, as is pretty clear, gentlemen, we've been a big deal right from the get-go here. We've done the homework. We understood the assignment.
Packed with guests from the beginning. Wow, I didn't know you had games.
That is impressive.
Well, back in the beginning, it was also a 3-hour show. It went from 8 to 11. And then we moved from 6 to 8 in the morning, and then they expanded that to a 3-hour show, 6 to 9. So we're used to filling a lot of stuff here on the show and trying to keep it interesting. In the meantime, I was looking back at the notes from the first day, and the first thing I opened the show with is the old Dave Garroway line from the very first Today show, where he says, "Well, here we are, and good morning to you." And then I teased folks that I said, as Uncle Joe would say, folks, I said, it's a new day, it's a new week, it's a new month. Here's a new show. I said at the time, the state of Wisconsin has long been in need of a show based not out of Madison or Milwaukee, but a place to come together that's based up north. Up north, we can debate all day if you like. But I said, we're not going to deal in the latest conspiracy theories. We're going to deal in something really old school here, facts. Not alternative facts, just actual stuff. And then, we moved on with our guest, Katie Rosenberg, and more. So I hope that we have stayed true to that and have brought in folks who have been extremely informative and extremely entertaining, as the case may be. And, we also have made sure that we let people know that whether it's at Courier Newsroom or Up North News or at Civic Media, there are all these other things going on. Parker's still doing, for example, Make the Call. I think you got a show this weekend?
Yes, we do. We're going to have Dominic Lee, the producer of John and Gordy. He's going to be heading over, joining us, giving us a little Bears perspective, Frank, as we look at Bears Packers.
We're gonna have some Bears perspective, are we? Well,
yes.
If only we had somebody else on this show. Look at him, about time. Yeah, you see. Thanks, Kristen. I have to talk Bears now. Great.
I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody who grew up an hour north of the city of Chicago and was born into being a Bears fan.
Okay.
But if there's anything that proved why the Bears are the Bears and the Packers are the Packers, more than the president of the Bears releasing a memo just a couple days before the biggest game of the season, saying that they might move the stadium to Northwest Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
Let me tell
Indiana
you,
Bears.
It was the most Chicago Bears thing I've ever seen in my life. In 31 years on this planet. Yeah, I know this is the biggest game we've had in 7 years coming up at home against our most hated rivals, the Packers. But let's talk about Indiana, folks.
Talk about moving the team to Indiana.
Big things happening in Indiana, guys.
I'm sure Papa Bear Hallis always envisioned his Chicago Bears in Northwest Indiana.
I'm old enough to remember when Indiana had no professional football teams, and now they're on the cusp of having 2. That's not something I thought I would ever say out loud.
I'm a sicko that puts on the 24-hour Christmas Story marathon every year.
Okay.
And there's a scene where the old man at the table opens up the newspaper and talks about the Chicago Bears because he's a Bears fan in Indiana. and I thought about that. I was like, it makes sense. I get it. They're a part of the market, but we're not the Northwest Indiana Bears. It's as simple as that.
No. And look, we get that teams don't often stay in the city. They're in the suburbs someplace. Sometimes they're not in the same state. The New York Giants and Jets play in New Jersey, but that doesn't mean the Bears have to do that as well.
And that's also because they don't have space. There's no space in Manhattan or the boroughs of New York.
Uh-huh.
So that's why they're in Jersey. Chicago has plenty of space. Make it happen. But again, This is why
there's a cornfield somewhere you can sacrifice. So
this is why the Bears always lose.
All right. Let's see. Speaking of the Bears and Packers, they play at when's kickoff? 7:30, I think. 7:15 or 7:30. Anyway, the important part is the pregame begins at 5:00 on several Civic Media stations, and then you can stick around and listen to Wayne and Larry make the call. America's favorite local football team, as decided in a recent vote. And Frank, you're you're maybe barely old enough to remember Wayne Larrivee calling Bears games before he came to the Packers.
What year was that? What would you say his last year was?
Oh, how long has Wayne been here now? We just talked about this the other day.
We did, and I found out there were 3 teams that he's called for.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
the Chiefs was the other one.
That's right. He called games for the Chiefs before he called games for the Bears in the, I want to say, the 80s and 90s. And I don't recall when Jim Irwin retired from calling the Packer games along with Max McGee. Then it became Wayne Larrivee and Larry McCarron. And they were recently voted favorite local team, local announcers.
1985, Larrivee was hired to be the Chicago Bears voice.
What a year to be hired.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And then held that position until the end of 1998.
Okay, so I was pretty young. I was probably still in my room playing Power Rangers, not caring about football Sunday.
Okay, that could be the case.
As my dad's yelling at the TV, and I didn't understand fully why.
And now you do. Now you understand why Bears fans yell at the TV.
Now I get it.
They do. Yep. There's also college basketball tonight. The Badger men taking on Villanova at a tournament in Milwaukee. Coverage begins at 6:30 tonight on several Civic Media stations, and our both congratulations and condolences to the Badger women's volleyball team. Man, they what a season, what a run, making it to the Final Four. But in last night's national semifinal, they came as close as you can get, coming up just short to a 1-seed Kentucky, losing in the deciding set 15-13. But a lot of fun to watch, and Mike Clemens is going to be along in a bit to tell us more about all the sports that's going to be happening for this weekend. Frank, now you just finished a nice big trip to Paris and elsewhere, so are you, I'm assuming, a homebody now for the holidays, or do you have to get back on the road?
I'll have to get back on the road December 26th. My in-laws live in Michigan, so I'm going to have to pack it all up and then go to Michigan.
That's actually that much farther away from Chicago. Maybe the Bears would like to locate to Kalamazoo or something like that.
I mean, they probably could. Why not?
I mean,
everybody could just take a ferry boat across Lake Michigan.
Temporarily, they could play in your big house. Frank.
God knows they can't. They can't take the what is that? The Indiana, the Skyway or whatever that one toll road is.
Yeah, I saw somebody put on Threads this morning where it was like, God, if the Bears moved to Indiana, that toll is going to be $25.
Oh, easily. And look, at least Chicago's gone without toll booths now. They just read your license plate and they send you a bill.
Right.
Indiana's got most of them. You can just either tap your credit card, or in my case, you can just hold up your iPhone and get it. But there's still on that Skyway tollway, whatever it is, the Chicago Skyway or something, still got to have the old-fashioned booths with the long lines that get there.
And they don't work.
And they don't work.
That one doesn't work.
So whenever I hear people say, well, maybe it's time we have toll roads in Wisconsin, I'm like, have you not driven beyond the state line to understand this? I mean, look, if you're going to do it like Chicago did, if you can make it contactless, then maybe. But then again, I look at my bill the next month and I'm like, oh yeah, toll roads. That's why I live in Wisconsin. And yet there's people that think that would be an acceptable way to go here. No, I'll pay a little bit more for my tabs every year. I don't want to have to pay when I'm driving, except for that one exception. I did make one exception, and that is for all the folks who live in the Milwaukee suburbs who are all the time grousing about the big bad city of Milwaukee. Fine. You guys did get a toll gate, just to go into the city. You want to go see the Brewers? You want to go see the Bucks or whatever, Marquette, whatever the case may be, fine. You can pay for it right there. That toll booth I'll accept, but that's it.
The big bad city of Milwaukee.
Oh my God. It just gets so tiring. If I've done nothing else on the show, it's to try to help people understand how important and wonderful Milwaukee is, and to help Milwaukee people understand how important and wonderful rural Wisconsin is, and to stop lobbing this stuff back and forth because you don't know, you've never been to one place or the other. Get out and find reasons to get outside your boundaries and see more of the state. I love that part about Up North News. It's like, go here, go there, see this, eat that, drink that. We need more of that around here. And I hope we get, well, we will keep doing that all throughout 2026. And Frank, you continue to be a wonderful ambassador for, an outside perspective of Wisconsin. And we appreciate that very much.
I thank you for putting up with my questions of things such as supper clubs and whatnot for the past couple months.
I loved it. It's
for
great.
Educating me.
Yes. No, we never get tired of doing that. So again, who are the friendliest people to opposing fans? Packer fans, because they love meeting new people. Like, here, let's take you to a supper club. Come have a beer, whatever the case may be. It's great, and you're wonderful and a good sport for doing all of this. Still ahead in about 15 minutes, we will talk to Mike Clemens. We will do a little bit of sports here as well before we wrap things up here from Lake Wissota, the heart of America's up north. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. I hope Dr. Lyerly has gone back to bed so she doesn't hear this. I think she does not appreciate how much this final hour of the show was reliant on her. Yeah. Because there's always something to come up. But I will say that as Parker and I put together 2 weeks worth of highlight shows, Dr. Lyerly does have a bit of a prominent role at times, not the least of which is playing the role of Goldie Gopher.
Yes.
And the mascot, the spinning your head around 360 degrees. Mm-hmm. You'll want to hear that story sometime in the next couple of weeks.
I think I had vaguely heard that was something that she had done. I did not know that there was a whole 5-minute clip about this of her spontaneously appearing on the show to talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent content.
There was that. And, if we're going old school, then there was the reaction when we found out that tape exists of my first TV appearance as a college freshman in 1982. Really? Oh, yeah.
Breaking news. Tornado.
Send that over.
It's there. It's on YouTube. Just look up Pat Kreitlow and Tornado, and you'll see it. Unfortunately, yep. Anyway, so we've got as usual I've got my favorite Friday shirt on. I've got my Friday Roy Kent coffee mug. Again, Roy Kent, because he can say the words that I can't say on the radio. Although, again, there's been all this talk about, well, maybe Up North News needs a podcast, and by all means, we have no idea what we're doing next. We just know we're going to do something. But on the podcast, you can say the naughty words, and I'm trying to envision whether you would allow that. You don't have to, but can you imagine Kristen Lyerly unleashed in a podcast?
And I'm imagining you unleashed.
And by the way,
because I've seen you unleash maybe once.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you're a broadcaster for life, and I have been for the longest time here, you're just always aware of a microphone, and so it would be a little weird for me to be able to use some naughty words. I'm looking at the podcast here at Civic Media. Earl Ingram, of course, has the What's Going On podcast. Matt Rothschild does a podcast for us. Dr. Lyerly Show comes in podcast form, as does Make the Call, the sports show that Parker is a part of on Saturday mornings. You guys know you could do a podcast version and get that explicit content warning. I wouldn't recommend it, but
unlikely.
Alicia clearly found it. She said that video of young Pat Kreitlow on TV was awesome.
Parker, did you send it in the chat?
He
yes,
did.
I did.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing later.
It's not the full thing. That is, I believe, Pat from within the last couple of years reacting to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Even better.
That's what it is.
I like the compare contrast of young Pat versus this Pat.
Oh yeah.
The hair is quite different.
There was a lot more of it back then. That's for sure. Let's see. We also have, I know I had a couple of more texts I wanted to share. Joe in La Crosse, thanks, Pat, for having a great show. I'm really going to miss listening to you in the morning. Good luck in your future endeavors. Let's see. Ted from Appleton, appreciate your kind words as well. Got from our friend Julian Emerson. He sent some really nice things. Glad that you had this opportunity. Thank you for the meaningful work you've done and will continue to do. You have made talk radio not only meaningful, but enjoyable to listen to, and that is increasingly rare. I and others are eager to see what you do next. So you know he's a trained journalist, I and others. And let's see, I know that there was one or two more that people were nice enough to put into the comment section. Say it isn't so. Thanks for all you bring to news and radio and straightforward, honest dialogue. That comes from John. Thank you very much for that. From Ned. Pat, thanks for being a clear, kind, and consistent voice for truth here in Northwest Wisconsin. Appreciate all you do day in and day out to raise the bar for journalism and public conversation. It's always nice when you can attend your own funeral, right? and read some of the eulogy. But you know what we missed? We missed Robin Tigerton. I totally whiffed out. I got all distracted. Rob, I saw you just sent a later note, but I missed the weather report. It's in here somewhere. I promise.
It's up there. I do think I saw that earlier.
I know, but everybody's been so nice jumping in here that it's just been great. So Rob says, thank you for letting me share about Tigerton and my journeys along the way. So yes, we appreciate that very much. And there were people who were like, hey, we got to get more of the listeners up here. And we did get a couple, but keep in mind there are others who the whole reason they comment either through text messages or the comment sections is that they prefer not to be on the radio and talking live like that. So we respect that very much. That's why we've been very open to reading the comment sections and all the texts that come in. I would have loved a few more voice notes to hear from people directly, but maybe what we should have done, ending as we began with naughty words, maybe we should have encouraged that, because then Parker would have to do some extra work to bleep them first.
Yes, I would.
Before we could play them. We might have a whole new franchise idea here.
Oh God! Please, can this half hour go faster? Okay. Please no.
We still got time.
People don't know that for the longest time we weren't sure if the dump button worked or not. So thankfully
we didn't have a dump button for a long time.
Do we still know if it works or not?
I don't know.
Well, I've never used it.
I don't know. Why don't you say a really bad word and let's find out? Oh no, we're out of time here.
Wait, hold on real quick. Did Pat, you went 3 whole years and never had to use the dump button?
That's correct.
Wow, that's impressive.
Wow.
That's really impressive.
Remember, a lot of it was that we weren't sure that it worked, and so I'd be told all the time, hey, you've really got to solicit more calls. I'd be like, I'm afraid. because we've got great callers, but any one of them could get me fired, and I wasn't ready for that yet. So
we've all let it slip on the air at some point or another.
Alicia says it was an absolute privilege and pleasure to join you twice last year on the air. Same here, Alicia. The honor was all mine. I do feel like I've used, the ones that you can say, damn and hell. I feel like I've done those more than probably every other host on this network combined, because you know what you can do and you try to live within those confines. And, you try to be a professional broadcaster. Like Mike Clemens, professional broadcaster, who's going to join us next to talk a little sports. I'm Pat Kreitlow. You're up north. It is a Friday morning. You can't have a Friday morning without looking ahead to the weekend in sports and doing that with our friend Mike Clemens, who is going to fill us in on some Bucks news, some Badgers basketball news, some Badger volleyball news. There's this Packers game. I believe the Bears. You might have heard a thing or two about that. We're just going to get it all covered here with Mike Clemens right now. Mike, nice to have you here. How are you today?
Pretty good, Pat. Late night last night. Following a lot of things were going on. Bucks lose again. This time to the Raptors. 111-105 at Fiserv Forum. The Bucks have lost 7 of their last 10 games. Kuzma was not in there. Of course, Giannis is still out. I wonder when they start second. I don't think they have to or should, but I wonder if Doc Rivers starts getting on the hot seat, because they just can't seem to change their ways or get out of this slump. Although the Raptors are a pretty good team, they lead the NBA in fast breaks, and they really throttled up in the third quarter and took control of that game. But we talked to Giannis last night for almost a half hour.
Okay.
So it's December 3rd, and he goes down, and he says it felt like this calf injury in the right leg. He said it felt like someone kicked him from behind. And when he looked back and saw there was nobody there, that's when he realized, okay, we got a problem. The next thing is he couldn't move his foot. And then the pain is starting to set in, and he's really concerned that maybe he's got a torn Achilles. It's the solaris. It's the muscle that's underneath, deep in that right calf muscle. It's probably going to be another 2 to 4 weeks, he says, before he's 100% and can return. He's starting to do some workouts right now.
Mike, I got to ask you. I got to ask you. You know, going into sports journalism, and then we'll come back to Giannis here. But for all the stories that you've had to cover about injuries, do you feel like you've practically received like a first-year medical school education for all of the muscles and bones and things you've had to learn about in your decades covering sports?
Yeah, but the more you learn, the more you need to be guarded with your information. You know, you don't play a doctor on the radios is what I've learned.
Yeah, good.
As a matter of fact, you know, I mean, I do some work for NFL radio on Sirius XM.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving out of the stadium last week, and they've got one of these, you know, physicians that has actually been a team physician and seen these kinds of things over and over again. And he's talking about, I think Christian Watson probably has got some artery damage, and that could be close to the aorta, which is why they took her to the emergency ward. Well, that's not what happened, because I talked to the player.
Oh, good.
yesterday. No, they were never worried about that. So you got to be careful about that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes it when we play Dr. Google, not the least of which is my wife, the doctor, does not like it when we play Dr. Google. So we try to avoid it, but I do appreciate the education you've had to get. But anyway, I interrupted when you were telling us more about Giannis.
No, you're right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I mean, you got some symptoms, and if you look it up on the internet, you know, they may be telling you, "Whoa, you're probably dead already," right? So you call Kristen Lyerly if you really need some help.
No, Parker, you're not pregnant. No.
Yeah. Giannis went to the next thing and said, "Okay, about the trade talks." He said, "Look, when the season starts, some players talk to their agents once a day, and that's fine. I don't." He said, maybe once a season. When the season starts, I've got three things. I got my family, I've got my own conditioning for my body, and I got games. I'm thinking about the next opponent, and that's it. I don't even talk to my agents about promotions. Don't come to me until the season's over with about promotions and commercials and other stuff. So he said, and in business, people are persistent. You keep calling and calling until, you get your way. And he said, teams are calling the Bucks because they want me. I can't control that. And when these agents are talking around and they hear there was a conversation, that's what goes to the networks. Can't do anything about it. And then, Pat, he really got himself into trouble. He said, take my wife.
Uh-oh.
He said, my wife, she shops at Target too much. She goes like every other day. I tell her, honey, you got to quit going to Target so much. And she went again this morning. I'm like, dude, do you realize the damage you've just done when you get home tonight? Oh my gosh.
It's going to affect the body conditioning. I can tell you that part of it,
Yeah. Listen, there's still an awful lot of smoke there.
Yeah.
He was, trying to be very convincing about it. It's also an organization where the general manager, not once, not twice, but 4 times I guess it was the start of the season press conference for about 30 minutes, he kept referring to Giannis Antetokounmpo as, and by the way, we have the greatest basketball player in the world on our roster. It's almost like there's some sort of a contractual, promotional thing he's signed where he has to drop that in, and it's like, come on, that's so whatever.
Wasn't that a Ted Williams thing?
In 3 or 4 weeks.
I think that was Ted Williams. He had whenever he did appearances, it had to be the world's greatest living ball player or something like that. So that can be a thing, but I just don't see Giannis as being the kind of guy that would insist on that.
I guess not, but it just says something a little bit about the relationship. That don't be quite so desperate. You got to. It's what's best for the franchise and those kinds of things. But whatever the case, they're in a slump. They've lost, as I said, 7 of their last 10, and they need to figure out a way to pull this thing out.
They really do. And by the way, I don't mind saying that it is definitely time for Doc Rivers to be on the hot seat, because when that coaching change was made, it was made with, all kinds of hype that Doc Rivers, again, taking nothing away from his earlier career, but like he was going to be a wizard. And I've never seen the wizardry in there. And again, that's just me. I'm just one guy, but this would be the time for him to be on the hot seat, but it's only because now we get something else to speculate about. We can't just speculate about Giannis. Now let's start doing it about Doc Rivers, right?
Unsolicited, Giannis said though, this team has got good character.
Okay.
So he talked about the players that are there. He didn't talk much about Doc. I think what Doc diagnoses for this team and their problems in terms of moving the ball and spacing and all that, and then you can see corrections being made. But, and they do have injuries too. A.J. Green is, not 100%, so they've got some problems. They've got some problems with the injuries.
All right. Let's stick with basketball. You got the Badgers busy tonight. They've had a long layoff where they get to hopefully think about ways they can improve over that stinkeroo of a last game they played in.
Yeah, the Badgers started off the season ranked in the top 25. They lost like a preseason game, if you will, to Providence, and then they got dropped. They played number 23 ranked Nebraska down in Lincoln and just got blown out 90-60. They lost by 30 points. Where the head coach of the Badgers men's basketball team, Greg Gard, says defense. We haven't had defense all year, and we got 9 days now here to find one if changes need to be made. So they finished up their semester. They had some practices tonight. They're going to host Villanova, and hopefully this roster that's got some pretty good players learns that they're going to have to work on both ends of the court, not just the one at their basket and take shots. So there'll be that.
All right. And again, that game will be on several Civic Media stations. Pregame begins at 6:30. Sticking with the Badgers, the women's volleyball team, they made it to the Final Four, and they came about as close as you can come, going to a deciding fifth set and coming up, just 2 points short in that one. But one hell of a run by Badger volleyball this year for this was not supposed to be their run to the championship year. They sure exceeded expectations, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, and great performances this year from players like Mimi Collier's up for Player of the Year nationally. So they get into the Final Four, and women's volleyball played in Kansas. The Final Four, and they get assigned against the number 1 ranked team, Kentucky. They're up 2-1 in the best of 5. Then they took a break, and then the one turning point for me was that clearly one of the Badgers players had a spike, and it was blocked. I mean, just stuffed right there at the net, and it just seemed to change the momentum right there. The thing went to all 5 sets. Kentucky came back to win 3 sets, 3-2 in that, and both teams look exhausted. Now Kentucky will advance to the finals Sunday afternoon at about 3:30 against Texas A&M. But another great performance from this Kelly Sheffield, who's the head coach of that volleyball program in Madison. I think they finished 28-5 for this season. So that's one of the better programs going on in Madison right now.
Absolutely. We're talking to Mike Clemens, previewing the weekend in sports. It's 8:45 right now, and let's finally turn to the Packers-Bears game in Chicago. Pregame begins at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon for a Saturday night game, and you can catch that on several Civic Media radio stations. And despite the injuries from last week, this still holds all the potential, Mike, to be a truly great game.
Yeah, if the Packers win, then they regain the top of their division. And if that makes them a division winner, that puts them in the top seeding in the playoffs in 2 or 3 weeks. They got to play the Ravens, then they got to play the Vikings. If they lose, they could drop down to the 7th seed, and means that if they still hung on and get into the postseason, all their games would be on the road. So, and pretty much the same kind of scenarios for the Chicago Bears. Bears keep getting better each week. Packers lost their star defensive player, Micah Parsons, to a torn ACL last weekend in Denver. And so now the Packers have to go back to the defense they thought they had in training camp in August to try and hold off the Bears and improving Caleb Williams at quarterback for the Bears. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You ever heard of mutton busting?
No, I can't say that I have.
There I am at Empower Mile High Stadium in Denver. But by the way, when the doors open, it says "Welcome to Mile High Elevation, 5,200 feet." So they play that up at halftime of this huge game between the Broncos, very good team in the AFC, and the Green Bay Packers. They bring out a dozen sheep to the 50-yard line and put a little fence around them. One gets loose and is running around in the end zone, and you got 2 or 3 security guys chasing it, sort of like a shirtless fan, on the field. And then a 6-year-old child puts on a helmet and hangs on the side of the sheep, and they open up the gate, and the sheep goes running, and the kid hangs on for dear life. They call it mutton busting.
Oh, good Lord.
Out there in Colorado.
Boy, they are starved for entertainment out there on the prairie. That is something.
I asked Jordan Love, I said, did you see this? I said, I did. I says, I saw it on the scoreboard coming out of the tunnel, in the second half. He said, that's like a rodeo thing. I used to see that when I was, in college in Utah. But yeah, that was halftime entertainment. And to me, I just wondered if any of those players, slipped on that sheep stuff out there.
Oh, yeah. Yes. God, the things we have to worry about here, between fans, field conditions, and now sheep doo-doo. Mike Clemens, this has been such a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Friday mornings. Have a wonderful weekend, and happy holidays to you, sir.
Pat, thank you so much. Congratulations. Take care.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Again, that's Mike Clemens giving us the weekend in sports here. And you can catch that Packers game against the Bears coming up tomorrow. 5 o'clock is when the pregame gets going on stations in Richland Center, Park Falls, Racine, Watoma, and Ironwood, Michigan. And now here's Parker Olson with his fearless Packer prediction for the game tomorrow.
Oh, I think the Packers are going to lose. I think
Listen
the
to
Bears
the
are really
hopelessness.
good. I think the Bears are really good. I can't think of his name, Menunganai or something like that. That Bears running back. I think he's better than Swift, and I think without Parsons, he's going to be a real problem.
Okay, well there you go. Now you know who to yell at next week. You jinxed it totally.
Wow.
I know. You pays your money, you takes your chances. We will wrap things up. Some final news and notes one last time from Lake Wissota. Right after this, I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, one last time after stealing his music, I get to channel my inner Steve Cannon and wrap things up for a week. And thank all of the guests and thank everybody who made this show possible, including some of the nice commenters online. Here's one, a guy named Todd Albaga? Todd Alba, I think. Congrats, Pat Kreitlow, on a great 3-year run. Nobody does it better. All the best to you and Parker. Todd, we are still watching your page as well to see what great, fun new things you come up with. A little behind-the-scenes thing with Parker here. As you know, Tony has been texting or commenting on YouTube for the longest time. But before we hear from Tony, a little behind-the-scenes stuff. During the commercial breaks, Parker usually has to remind guests to shut up because there's 30 seconds left in the break. We outsource that. And so here are the two different ways that Tony's girls make us aware that the commercial break is over. Here's one of them.
30 seconds left in a break.
And then there's this one.
Pat, don't forget 30 seconds.
So if you ever wonder why we always sound so upbeat coming out from a break, it's because of those little angels who somehow, with this guy as a dad and putting all that sarcasm online, they still turned out as delightful as they are. Tony is joining us on the phone. Tony, hello.
Hey, Pat. I figured people have heard you say my comments enough that I should probably actually let them hear my voice a little bit. And I should tell you how much this show has meant to me. I really love this show. It's been one of the best things about my day and one of the most consistent things. I went on vacation last year to California, and my wife told me that I was not allowed to listen to your show. And it genuinely threw me off. It threw off my whole day.
And she wasn't just talking the vacation, but
yeah.
Oh, that is great. Yeah. Thank you, Tony. I cannot tell you how much it means to have regular contributors who follow along and know the right things to say at the right time. And it has been absolutely stellar having you as part of the cast of regulars that keep us honest online, and those little angels of yours who have also provided some fodder have been much appreciated too.
Every time you play that over the break, they light up and they get so excited because they're like, "Oh,
Aww,
it's me."
That's so
and when
awesome.
it's the other one that you play, they go, "I did it better."
A radio show or a podcast is probably not, out of the question for their future. So you just keep fanning those flames because they sound like they would be delightfully entertaining, as are you, Tony. Thank you again for everything. It's been wonderful.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Boy, we got to go through and take care of some business here. We've got guests to thank after all this time. It's It's time to find my notes. See, if there's one thing the show's been known for, it's that Pat loses his place a lot. So let's get to
reliable.
All reliable here. So my thanks to today's guests, of course, Greg Bach, Jennifer Schulze, Jim Santel, Mark Jacob, Mike Clemens, by text message, Dr. Kristen Lyerly, Tony there, Frank Gargano, and of course, Parker Olson, and to all of you for being here this morning as well. Well, as the announcer would say at Churchill Downs, and down the stretch they come. The finish line is in sight, and the 4:30 a.m. alarm on my phone has been deleted. And so I've got a little less than 4 minutes of gratitude to express to you here. I have always loved local radio. There's just no way else to say it. When it is done right, it can be personable, entertaining, informative, maybe even persuasive. And when I first started Up North News, I thought it might be nice to have it branch off into a radio show, maybe in 5 to 10 years. But it only took 2.5 before Civic Media came along and gave us this little piece of radio real estate. And so my unending thanks goes to my boss, Tara McGowan of Courier Newsroom, and to Sage Weil of Civic Media. Today, together, they arranged for me to be the middle of a Venn diagram between these two very wonderful media companies. So you will find me in Up North News in all sorts of ways, a newsletter, social media posts, website articles, explainer videos, maybe more. I don't know for sure. We're going to enjoy the holidays first, and then we'll get cracking on designing the kinds of news coverage that we hope will keep you coming back to Up North News on whatever platform you like best, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, a newsletter, podcast, whatever the case may be. And I hope you will still find me on the radio now and then, maybe as a guest instead of a host, but I still look forward to the chance to visit with you, right here somewhere down the line. As with Jane Matinair last week, I feel very fortunate to be able to wrap up a show and give proper thanks to everyone that I can. That includes plenty of people at Civic Media whom I will miss. Parker here and Greg, Chad Holmes, Aaron Zommers, Earl Ingram, Jimmy Kuska, John and Gordy and Catherine, James Kelly, Jimmy Kuska, Melissa Kay, and Lee Lou, the rescue pigeon, and so many others at Civic that I may have only met once or twice virtually and would have really liked to have seen more often. There's also what I guess we can now call the alumni from Civic Media, Mike Crute, Luke Mathers, Todd Alba, Brian Kelly, and others who provided encouragement and support in the early years of this program. At Up North News, I have my old friend to thank, Selena Heller, who has now worked with me in TV and radio for some 25 years now. And Sharita Booker, Abby Dietrich, Ellie Bordeaux, they have rounded out an incredible team, and they are going to get so sick of me now that I'm going to be able to annoy them much more often. And at Courier Newsroom, Kia Vakil, Cam Stevenson, all my colleagues in all the state outlets and the national posts, many of whom took time to visit with us here on the radio to give a Wisconsin audience some firsthand info on the news beyond our borders. The real heart and soul of this show came from the people who were regulars. It all starts and ends with Kristen Lyerly, who was on one of our very first shows, an otherwise brilliant woman. She was never quite smart enough to run away and say no. She just kept coming back, and I am forever in her debt for making this show more fun than it otherwise would have been. Same goes for Hans Breitenmoser, Joe Zepecki, Melissa Baldoff, Sean O'Malley, Dan Hagan, Laura Bird, all the folks at the Wisconsin Public Education Network, Motherhood for Good, and everybody else crazy enough to come on this show more than once. I thank you all so much for being a part of all this. I'll see you on Up North News along the way. Greg Bach is next. Happy holidays. Have a wonderful new year. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. And we'll keep this live stream on long enough because there's still just enough of you out there for me to say thank you. You guys are so great. And if I didn't have this mistrust that the radio equipment wouldn't bleed through on air, I'd say in Roy Kent language how nice it was to have all of you here. So, well, fuck that. Anyway, so that will take care of that. I just want to say thank you, Claire, for the best wishes. Tony, never stop streaming. You know what? Yeah, the hell with it. Okay.
What are we going to do?
What should we talk about now, right? That probably doesn't work that way. I do like having that paycheck. Walt, thank you for the kind wishes on Facebook there as well. All right, now live streamers, we'll go. And if you're on the Civic Media stuff, thank you. Stay there. But if you've never found the Up North News social pages, go over there. And I would guess on Up North News YouTube and Facebook, you'll see something sometime shortly after the first of the year. I don't know. We got to have meetings. At Civic Media, they got to have meetings. There's going to be so many meetings between these two companies, I like how Parker and Frank do not want to get involved in this at all. Yeah, there will be meetings.
There's going to be a lot of meetings.
There's going to be a lot of meetings. All right, live streamers.